Hello and welcome to the Musical Instrument Investigator. Today on the website of Tennants Auctioneers based in the UK, we're going to have a look at their latest auction, which is Scientific and Musical Instruments, and this is finishing on the 15th of May. It is the 4th today, so a few days left to go. I'll put a link to the catalogue in the video description. So it says that there's 186 lots in this auction, but a lot of those are scientific instruments. So actually, if we go down to the bottom, we actually finish somewhere on the first page. So I think there's about 90 or so musical instruments, some bowed instruments, bowed strings, some pluck strings, and a few other random bits in between. So should be a fairly interesting auction. Tennants we've been on quite a lot of times in the past, often have some good instruments for sale. And yeah, let's just kind of see what they have. So buyer's premiums 24% for this auction, a bit more on top with tax and stuff like that. Check all the terms and conditions before you bid. This is a UK based auction, so if you're outside of the UK, might be import export fees, other kind of stuff, CITES restrictions. If you do enjoy these videos, please consider subscribing, like, comment or turn on notifications, because it really does help and would be much appreciated. Now this catalogue has just gone live and everything is just saying violin, violin, viola, blah blah blah. I suspect at some point these descriptions might actually change because they're different for the guitars, but because it's so fresh up, they're not saying anything. But when we get into the lots, then we will see a bit more info. So yeah, without further ado, let's just crack on. I'm going to zoom out a tiny bit so that we can see these things a bit better. So we've got a violin, it's not labelled, 80 to 120 pounds on that. It looks pretty kind of standard. You can ask for condition reports, etc. as standard, so nothing too mad there. Got a violin here, labelled the Nat Stradivarius thing, Schuster and Son, so some kind of German instrument, and a couple of bows there. I don't think of any particular interest. Viola here, it's labelled Friedrich Kockendorfer, Stuttgart 1901. So let's see what's going on here. 15 3/8 size back, and a bow there, 400 to 600. Might be okay, worth having a look at in person, but not looking particularly exciting. Violin there, another one labelled Stradivarius. I'm sure this is probably just a standard trade instrument for sure. I said you can always ask for more pictures and condition reports. Got a violin here. It's got stamped internally Nicolas Duchesne de Ville de Padoue with 2 bows. So it looks very bright, kind of coloured. Would be interesting to see the stamp. I think some of these French ones have like a triangular stamp. Difficult to tell from these pictures. You can look in higher resolution. Just looks very kind of bright varnish, but could be correct. 2 to 300 anyway, not too bad. Right, violin. Another one with the Strad label, Conservatory stamped on the back. So this is your classic trade violin. It's got a wooden case with it, nothing too crazy there. 70 to 100. Another violin here. Scott Cow there. So this is, I think, a Chinese made instrument. Some of these are kind of better quality than others. I think that shop does also make kind of instruments themselves wherever they're based, but a lot of their kind of entry-level model stuff is Chinese, so it looks fairly standard to me. 70 to 100. And here we are, a couple of violins, 3/4 violin, Lark Student, some other thing, nothing particularly worth bothering with. Violin 7/8 they're saying here, not really anything of note. Another violin here, this also looks fairly standard. Yeah, I don't think there's anything too crazy there. Violin here. Maker's label, Hexham Violins, Northumberland, signed David G. Mann, 2007. Letter from Hexham Violins valuing the instrument for £2,500. 600 to 800 they've put on that. See if we can see this a bit bigger. Quite nice back on that. If we look at the work, yeah, I think it's possible that that is a correct label looking at it. So it could be an English instrument of some kind. Up to you if you want to pay somewhere between 600 to 800 for it. It's probably not super unreasonable. Right, violin here. Maker's label, CHJB Colin Mazar. There we go. 3 to 4,000. There you go. These are just always popular. Everyone loves these Colin Mazar type things. It looks probably about right. And the Tennants always seem to have one, unless it's the same one every time. This looks like a kind of Viome type bow of some kind. So I'm sure that will be popular. Right, violin here. No particular information on that. Looks, I think, fairly standard, but difficult to say. Violin, no information. Once again, fairly standard. Another violin. Concert violin, Stradivari, once again, all pretty much the same. Another one here, labelled Corey Shriver 3, the Muse Old Newbridge Hill, Bath, 2004, with signature in ink, 3 to 3,500. Okay, this name sounds very familiar. So looks like an interesting instrument here. So almost, definitely recognise the name of this maker, and looking at it, it looks quite believable. Once again, if you want to spend 3 to 3.5 on a violin, I don't know what that maker's prices are at the moment, but I think it is probably correct. Another violin here, number 6 on lower rib, 2 to 300. It's kind of interesting, but possibly a trade violin of some kind, but maybe a slightly more interesting one. Hard to say. Right, another violin with a Nicola Amati label. Ooh, cool scroll on that. I like that scroll. But it otherwise looks fairly standard from what I can see. That's quite a cool looking scroll. 100 to 150 on that. Got a bow. Let's see. Maybe we can zoom in a bit more, because that is a bit difficult to see at this violin here. Gold plated mounting and fake tortoiseshell. 1,000 to 1,200 on that. So it doesn't look like it's got any kind of branding. Another violin bow here. They got the ivory declaration exemption there. So 300 to 400 seems a little bit optimistic. The violin bow here. Open frog. Interesting older bow. Quite interesting eye on that. Quite like that. 3 to 400 though. Once again, not entirely sure. That might be a bit optimistic. Right, whole load of violins here. One says copy of Gabetti. Some other kind of smaller instruments here. See if there's anything of particular interest here. Some kind of bow in need of repair as well. A few other bows and a few more details. I'm not seeing anything super interesting, but when you're just going through things really quickly, it is very easy to miss things, and that will, I guess that's what really shows the experts from novice people. They can kind of spot things in a split second. So I don't think there's anything interesting here. However, this is starting to look a little bit more interesting. Let's zoom out a little bit. Cello here, with facsimile of a letter from Hexham Violins It's an old 18th century cello attributed to Vincenzo Panormo and valued for insurance of 50,000. Okay, interesting. 8 to 10,000. Certainly very interesting looking cello this. Interesting scroll. In general, quite curious. Would be good to follow what this sells for. But yeah, nice corners on that. Yeah, I think this is, yeah, definitely a very nice instrument for sure. Exactly what it is, I have no idea. But yeah, definitely a nice looking cello. 18th century, I could well believe that for sure. 8 to 10, probably not unreasonable to be honest. Cello with maker's label, musicalinstrumentinvestigator, made in Romania, so Romanian cello here, 80 to 120. Pretty standard stuff there. Kind of looks like a kind of, yeah, knoll bow there, which are fine. I think they do their job, so it's kind of not too bad. Work out the zoom situation here. Cello bow there, stamped E. Henry or Henri. Zoom in a bit. It's always a little bit awkward getting the pictures in the right shot there. Stamped Pecat, 5 to 700 on that. It looks fairly nice. Another cello bow here, stamped C. Thomasa. Another Hexham violins thing, valuing it at 10,000. 2.5 to 3 on that. Certainly does actually look like quite a nice looking bow there, so that could also be correct. Cello bow, no stamp, 3 to 400. So they seem to have probably, I presume that bow came with that cello, so that is interesting. Right, double bass here, no label, 4 to 600. Not too bad. Comes with a bow as well, so you're ready to go. An electric cello by Gear for Music there, 100 to 150. Right, cornet, new standard by Besson, and a couple of other instruments there. So kind of curious. I think we can zoom back in a tiny bit more. A few instruments here for sure. Trombone, Gaudet by A. Courtois, 40 to 60. Bassoon, model 1357-4 by Oscar Adler and Co. Mark Newkirkin, 1500 to 2000 there. Cor Anglais by Howarth. Okay, interesting, 1000 to 1500. Yeah, quite a respected name in the UK at least. Flute by WMS Haynes and Co. Boston, Massachusetts, 800 to 1200 there. Oboe by Howarth. Okay, 800 to 1200 in its case. So they're doing quite well actually. Some quite nice instruments here. Definitely curious. Oboe by Laurie. Okay. Purchase receipt from Boozy and Hawkes, 1964. That's interesting. 100 to 150 there. Wooden flute. 5 sections, 6 holes, 8 keys, 1 missing, no maker's mark. Kind of interesting looking. 70 to 100. Wooden flute. W. Bateman, Ripon, 1839. Okay. Looks like it's a bit of worse for wear. Korg Legacy Collection Virtual Instruments Effects plugin. Okay. With MS-20 controller in original box. That's kind of quite cool. 100 to 150. Quite like that. Mandolin by Samick. I think you'll find it's... oh no, they are. That's interesting. So they're selling a mandolin by Samick with a ukulele, but the ukulele is the first picture. Okay, well, a Marlowe ukulele as well. So 2 there for 100 to 150. Concertina. One of these zither things and an accordion there. So quite curious. Interesting. Well, I'm sure it'll be a popular lot for someone else, one of these harp things as well. So a whole load of this stuff there. Honer button accordion there. And another one as well. 5-string banjo there, Barnes and Mullins, made in China. Five-string banjo there. Bohea on the headstock there. 5-string banjo by Ibanez. 100 to 150. Another 5-string banjo there, heirloom model by Wildwood, which I think is another modern make of some kind. 5 to 800 on that. Banjolele here with decal broadcaster. Client altered estimate from 40 to 100 fixed. Return RTO if unsold. I think that probably shouldn't be listed. I think that's an internal comms which has accidentally been added to this listing. I guess it's easily done. So there we go. If you don't bid at least £100 on it, then it's going to get returned to the owner. Classical guitar by Antonio Sanchez here, 80 to 120. Was nice to be helpful if we could see a picture of the back. So it looks like we're on guitars here. Garrison electroacoustic here, just one image there. Resonator guitar by Vintage, a modern one there. Fender Custom Shop Strat Relic there, 2014, 1000 to 1500. Once again, no back shot there. Fender Custom Shop Telecaster Relic, 1500 to 2200. Fender Jazzmaster, 5 to 800 there. Fender Precision Bass Guitar, 4 to 600. Metallic Purple Fender Strat, 6 to 800. That's quite cool. I think those might be lace sensor pickups, I guess. Yeah, Fender lace sensors. Nice, 6 to 800. Fender Strat, black body. Fender Stratocaster Custom Shop, 1200 to 1800. It's got EMG pickups there. So a whole load of Fenders in this auction. Another Fender Strat Custom Shop, 12 to 1800. Ocean Turquoise. So it looks like maybe someone's entire collection is going. Right, Fender Strat from 1958. 10 to 15,000 on that. So quite an interesting one. A few more pictures on this. So a few bits replaced and refinished. So if you are into old Fenders, then this could be interesting to you. Lots of pictures this time, which is good. I think they've realised that's probably quite essential for something like this. I think the market for these kind of vintage electric guitars is really quite fascinating and something that I'm really don't know much about, but nice looking guitar, so very interesting. 10 to 15. Right, Fender Strat electric guitar from 2006, 4 to 600. Fender Strat Eric Johnson signature, 800 to 1200. Yeah, really quite a lot of Fenders here. G&L this time, Tribute Series ASAT, 20 to 180. Nice guitars, G&L. Gibson Custom Shop Les Paul Relic LPR8, 3.5 to 5.5. Shame we can't see the back picture on this. Hopefully they'll add some a bit later. Yeah, nice looking guitar that for sure. Gibson ES336 here, 1500 to 2000. Once again, quite nice. So nice collection of guitars for sale here. Gibson ES339, 1000 to 1500. Gibson Les Paul from 2008. Beautiful top on that one as well, 2 to 3. Gibson LPR7 Les Paul Gold Top Reissue 2-3. So presume someone's collection here. Gibson LPR6 Les Paul Gold Top Reissue. Nice as well, 2-3. Gibson SG 600 to 900. Another SG there, 1000 to 1500. This looks like an older model, kind of interesting one. Gretsch G6128T 800 to 1200. Heritage Guitars Archtop H575 800 to 1200. Nice, yeah, these are great. That seems like quite a friendly estimate. These Heritage ones. Ibanez 540R 2 to 300. Jimi Hendrix Woodstock 25th Anniversary Guitar, number 1 of 26, Fender Strat 1000 to 1500 there. So another one for you Jimi Hendrix fans here. So that's quite curious. Oh, there you go. I'm sure there's some info there for someone that's interested in that. Already got a Paul Reed Smith here, 1800 to 2200. Quite a nice quilt top on that. Not a fan of Paul Reed Smith, I have to say. Rickenbacker 330 hollow body there. Rickenbacker 660. A really interesting collection. A Suhr guitar here, John Suhr. Nice looking guitar there, 1000 to 1500. That seems pretty cheap as well, although I think maybe they did ramp up production at some point, so not sure when that is. Another one here, this is the Guthrie Govan model. If you're into guitars or guitar players, you'll know Guthrie Govan, like absolutely ridiculous player, amazing player. 2 to 2.5 here, so that's quite nice. Nice finish on that. Tokai Breezy Sounds electric guitar, 120 to 180. That seems fairly cheap estimate there. Another Tokai Gold Star. This is literally like looking at someone's collection getting sold. I'm sure it's something like that, because it's just the things which are here, and then Tom Anderson as well, 1000 to 1500. It just does seem specifically like someone's collection. It's just the kind of diversity, but also kind of ones from the same maker, some high-end stuff. It's interesting. Another Tom Anderson here, 1000 to 1500. Kind of slightly weird model, that one. Underwood T electric guitar, 2014, 6 to 800. Interesting. Don't know much about this, but C Underwood prototype, partially obscured by machine head. Yeah, interesting looking thing. Fender Blues Deluxe reissue amplifier here, 400 to 450. Fender Deluxe amp there, 600 to 800. Fender Princeton amp there, a couple of pictures there, 800 to 1200. Fender Super amp, this looks quite nice, 1000 to 1500. Fender Super Reverb, 6 to 900. Fender Vibrolux Reverb amp there, 1200 to 1800. Marshall JMD 501, 100 to 150. One of these Zoom effects pedals there, 80 to 120. And a Wurlitzer jukebox, which is a bit out of our realm, but nice to see anyway, 6 to 9. And I think that is the end here. Then we get into music and stuff. So yeah, really interesting auction actually. A couple of say this one cello and the bow, really, that's very interesting. Some amazing guitars, some really great Fenders, Gibsons, some custom shop stuff, and some other high-end bits, and some other curious musical instruments in between. But yeah, pretty decent auction to be fair, so definitely worth looking at. So link in the description as always, check it out, see what you think. Thanks a lot for watching, I appreciate it. Catch you next time. Bye.